Welcome everyone to another Marvel Crisis Protocol unboxing. So today it's Rocket and Groot. So this cheeky little duo, this one's part tree, one's a raccoon. What's there not to like? So if you don't know who these guys are, check out Guardians of the Galaxy. Two films that are pretty funny and set in the Marvel Universe. Really do rate these guys. Now they didn't always start off in the comics together, and they certainly didn't start off with the Guardians, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So we'll talk about the unboxing and the rules and the models themselves initially. So I hope you guys had a very good new year, and hopefully this year will be even better, because it couldn't go any worse. Yeah, so you marvelous people, wishing all the best from House of Chaos. So the result of genetic experiments and cybernetic enhancements, the walking, talking, fighting creature known as Rocket is a force to be reckoned with. So I like this guy. Very, very funny. A little bit quirky. Great with tech. Let's see if these rules reflect to that. So the background for Rocket is slightly different in the comics. He was even a guardian of a planet at one stage, filled with loads of creatures that were caretakers for a planet, but that's completely, I think, been destroyed, so it's no longer canon, and they're pretty much sticking with the Guardians of the Galaxy timeline, which he is a genetic experiment. He is pretty much cybernetically enhanced, a lot like the comics, but he is hanging with Groot now. So this strange plant-like being known only as Groot loves life and fights to protect it. So he's brilliant. So in the Guardians, you'll see him as a tiny little sapling, and in the comic books, he has been reduced to a sapling a few times, and every time Groot tries to bring him back, and he eventually goes through his teenage moody years, and then becomes the Groot we all know and love. And I'm glad they did it in the films as well, because it is pretty cool when it happens. A little bit sad in the comics, but he will always come back, or he has done so far. But like I said, the story for them has changed quite a bit now. What else have we got here? Ah, it's just the cardboard. No one needs to see that. So, the destructions. Help if we have them the right way around. Wow, look at the size of that dude! He's massive. I think he looks like a brilliant model. It's going to be fairly easy to paint, I would imagine. I'm going to dry brush him a little bit. So some nice different colours for the tree. Spark-like colours. Remember, not all trees are brown. You think they're brown until you have a look at them. They're not as brown as you think. There's a lot of silver and stuff in it. And how come we've only got the destructions for them? Surely we have. There we go, that's more like it. Nearly got away with it, eh? So, okay, you've got to stick a nose on Rocket? How big is this nose? Better not be like Malifaux models. You got tiny little arm on a teddy bear that's being carried by a child. Tiny little pieces. Doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad. I do like landing on a branch here. So the it's almost like Groot is buried a root, and he's popping up over here. It's pretty cool. So, always a selection of different bases from Marvel Crisis Protocol. I've used a few of these recently, so for Groot, I'll be using this one. And the standard group of bases here for the smaller ones. I do like this, but my OCD, because I've painted all my different rosters all the same colour and those kind of textures, so like pavement-y colours. I have painted Red Skull on this base, but it kind of looks like he's out of keeping. That's just my personal preference. Do like the details on the bases though. They are starting to get a bit uniform when you have too many models. There's no such thing as too many models. I do apologise. I'll reword that. They all get a bit samey when you have a reasonable collection. Keep digging. Right. Oh my good god. Look, it's so tiny. Yeah. His nose. Yeah. Okay. This is going to be interesting. The gun is way bigger than Rocket. That's why I like Rocket. He's crazy. And look at Groot. I do like the details on Groot though. Look at that. Very, very cool. Can't wait to assemble that. As if by magic, let's see if we can do it. Abracadabra. 1, 2, 3. We have an assembled Groot. And tiny, tiny Rocket. So Rocket really is tiny. They do give you a spare nose just in case you lose any bits. Now, speaking of extras, I have found on a lot of the sprues for Marvel Crisis Protocol, anything really, really super, super tiny, they have made a copy of on the sprue just in case, which I think is fantastic. So for anybody who is new into the hobby, be it young, old, or whatever, bits do get lost. It happens. So it is nice that they think that people are going to lose the stuff. It's pretty tiny. Like I said, it's not like Malifaux when it's really, really, really super small, and they don't come with extras. So these models are pretty good in detail, not fantastic. These particular two are fine because there's no micro, small amount of detail on it. But things like Baron Zemo, I have noticed where his hood sits around his neck. There's not so much detail as there is in the artwork. Maybe they're originally painted resin for the artwork alone. I'm not sure. I can only speculate. But for these particular models, they're fine. So yeah, they're a decent tabletop quality. They're not as good as certain companies like Malifaux. Their Wiccan models. Anything by Games Workshop recently is brilliant. But where they do lack the detail, they're great with mold lines. There's hardly any mold lines in these models. You get the occasional one. Certain models more than others. But these particular, I haven't shaved off any mold lines. I don't know if I could find any mold lines. I'm sure Marcus can find them from space because he's eagle-eyed and his hatred of mold lines is strong. But yeah, I think it's reasonable quality. They are fun, easy to assemble, even though there's no numbers on this set of instructions, because it was a fairly early box. I did notice, so it was the 17th one they've released. I did notice the early stuff, it doesn't have any numbers on the assembly. It's fairly easy to work out what's what, because most of the models aren't multi-part. I think this one here came in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces maybe? And this one obviously being larger, not so bad. Now this one here, I was going to use the drain cover base, but I've already got one. I'm thinking how many drain covers are going to be in my city at any given time. I don't know. Just my personal preference. I've just used my hobby saw to get rid of the bumpy bit on the back, the edge of the pavement. That's just personal preference because it's quite a large model and I wanted a fairly flat base. But yeah, leave it on there. You don't have to cut it off. This shows how easy these plastics are to manipulate with a saw or a knife if you want to do any conversions. But yes, very, very happy. Massive model. He looks great. Going to have a lot of fun painting him up. So rules and such. We have tokens. So, you know, what's Marvel without your tokens? Always get a lot of tokens. Especially in the core box. There is a bazillion tokens. So, we'll start with Rocket, shall we? And I'll zoom in, so to help your eyes and mine. Well, I'm not sure, my eyes are probably past it. So, Rocket is a 2-pointer. So, there's not too many 2-pointers out there. Obviously, you've got your Bob, you've got Nebula, obviously you've got Rocket now, Black Widow, things like that. So, it's always nice to have a 2 in your roster so you can mix and match, because sometimes it is hard to get those points in there. And he's not bad, I don't think, for 2 points. A, because he's super, super cute. If you can say a trash panda with a massive gun is super cute, and why not? But yeah, he's pretty good, and we'll see why. So 3 health, not great. Medium movement, you're probably not going to want to move him too much. He's not going to be one to grab those objectives. He is, that I know of, the only height 1, meaning he can hide behind pretty much anything. So yeah, that's brilliant. Hiding behind stuff's great, keeps him alive, because with 3 health, he's not fantastic. He's only 2 physical defense, 2 energy defense, and slightly more on the mystic of 3, because he has been messed around with genetic experiments. He's a bit cranky. He's probably a bit more resilient mentally. So I do like the fact that the fluff represents into the rules there, which is great. His plasma rifle, his energy attack of range 5, strength 5, 0 cost, is pretty good. Range 5 is the best range you can get in the game. 5 dice isn't bad. After this attack is resolved, this character gains energy equal to the amount of damage dealt. It's a standard, but range 5, 5 dice. That ain't bad. So we'll go into what affiliations he's good with. But straight off the bat, Guardians, not bad, because you could get 2 extra dice there. With some rerolls, you can use Wet Works with X-Force. So you get 1 dice there. And you have a Hadron Enforcer. So range 5 also. Wicked. Strength 7, even better. But it is 4 energy. So it's quite expensive for this little guy. But first round he's going to have 1 anyway. 1 energy. You might get 2 shots off there. Hopefully you can build up enough to get Hadron Enforcer in the following turn. Unless you're super, super lucky with that there. So Hadron Enforcer is a pretty good tool, because if you do manage to get that wild, you get Vortex. Before damage is dealt, other enemy characters within range 2 of the target character suffer 1 damage. That's nice. Auto damage. Pretty good. And a push towards the target character small. So it is literally a vortex. You are dragging other models away. So yeah, be pretty choosy with your targets. Don't really worry too much about the damage if you don't want to. And start manipulating people and dragging them around. Anytime you cause your opponents to move, they're probably losing another action of some kind to try to get to the objective that they want to get to, for example. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So he's got some kind of manipulation, not massive. And you can rely on a wild to do it. But at range 5, it's not bad. So for 3 energy, he has Booby Traps. Yeah, that's right. I said traps. When an enemy character ends a movement within range 3 of this character may use this superpower. Roll 4 dice. The enemy character suffers 1 damage for each crit and wild rolled. So it's kind of like the counter attacks that you can get with Black Widow, Zemo, like a counter strike, but they just got to move closer and it happens. Because if this guy actually gets in combat, something's gone wrong and he's probably toast. It's probably game over. For 0 points, personal bodyguard. This is really, really good. So yes, it's 0 energy, but when this character is the target of an attack and an allied Groot is within range 1 of this character, you may use this superpower. The allied Groot becomes the target of the attack, regardless of range and line of sight. So yes, it is free, but this guy's 2 points, and Groot is a big old 3 points. So yeah, it is free, but you're going to have Groot for this to happen. So there is some kind of cost in it, I guess. It's pretty good, because if this guy is somehow in the line of fire and he's about to get wailed upon, Groot is a great bodyguard for this guy. But it's personal bodyguard, so it doesn't work with anybody else. It's only Groot can protect Rocket, because they're friends, the best buds, right? So this is the best bit. This innate ability, this passive ability, Small stature. This character always benefits from cover, which is great because a majority of the time even, you are rolling 2 defense dice. So someone tries shooting at you, let's say someone's got range 5, you're at range 5, Cable for example, is trying to shoot you, you always benefit from cover. So really use that terrain to your advantage, maybe shoot, and if you think someone's going to get a bead on you, move behind any bit of terrain and you're pretty much safe because he's only a size 1. And then get some cover. So if you unfortunately do get shot, you do have cover. But remember, there are characters out there like Doc Ock, maybe Captain America's shield, that ignore cover. So watch out for that. So on his injured side, he still has 3. Still the same movement, still the same defense. I think he's exactly the same on the back. But this guy is cool. I do like him. For 2 points, he's going to get a few shots off. He's not going to be getting those objectives unless he's on the back of the table and there's an objective there and he's going to sit on it. There is no way he's going to run up to the center of the table or even in your opponent's deployment half. It's just not going to happen. It's really not. I mean, he's got a medium move. If you want to do that, it's a bit of a Hail Mary, but he shouldn't be getting up there, is what I'm saying. So let's start with Groot. His healthy side. So 7 health. It's pretty strong. It's pretty good. He moves small, but then he's on a large base, so that's okay. He's size 3, and he's 3 cost. Size 3 is good. 4 would be better, so he's less likely to get thrown around by people out there. But still, 3 is not bad. So, for physical defense, well, makes sense. 2 energy, because he doesn't really want to be set on fire and things like that. And 3 mystic. Okay, reasonable, not bad. Strike. Cost 0 energy, range 2, 5 dice. After this attack is resolved, this character gains energy equal to the amount of damage dealt. Pretty standard, nothing extraordinary there. It's a nice builder. 5 dice, but it has to be within range 2, which I thought was a bit weird. One of his strikes, I think, should be a range 3, because he can stretch his limbs and things like that. But whatever. It's not a problem. I am Groot. Funny enough, that had to be on the card somewhere, didn't it? So it's 6 dice, which is pretty big. So it's 6 energy, which is pretty big. 8 dice, 8 strength. Before damage is dealt, this character may throw the target character medium. That's good. Always mess around with your opponent where they want to be. It's great. So it is throw. It's not push, it's throw. Throws are better than pushes because you can do some damage by throwing somebody. You could always do that 1 auto damage, but if you're throwing into somebody, not a piece of terrain, there's a chance that you can injure another model, which is always nice. After this attack is resolved, the target character gains the stagger special condition. So stagger, for those who don't know, means when they have that effect on them, that condition on them, the first action must be shaking it. Go shake off that stagger. It's good. It's not bad. It's basically 1 less activation for your opponent when they do get to activate. So make sure you do that before they activate this turn, and that's pretty nice. He is a living plant. For 2 energy, remove 3 from this character. So if he is bodyguard in Rocket, he can then shake that off. It's pretty nice. 3 damage is nice. Because I don't think you're going to get more than 3 damage off a reasonably powerful hit against this guy. Let's say physicals, 4 dice. That's not bad. So, Tangling Vines. This is the long kind of range thing I was thinking about. So it's range 3. It's 2 energy. Choose an enemy character within range 3. It gains the Root special condition. So Root, I think, is one of the less common special conditions in the game. So what it does is, whenever you spend a superpower, be it an active or reactive superpower, you have to spend 1 energy before you even spend the cost of that active or reactive power. So it's pretty good. So it's basically making your opponent's powers cost 1 more until they obviously shrug it off. So that's really good. It starts messing with their energy building, energy spending. So yeah, I don't think you see Root too much out there actually, so it's good to see. So on his injured side, he has 7 health, and I think the rest of it is exactly the same, which is pretty good. So yeah, Living Plan, Tangling Vines, all cost the same, but wicked cards. Wicked cards. So they're both the same, front and back. I just think the models are really cool. I'm not sure how often I was going to use Groot. I mean, I think the model is wicked. I like the level of detail that he's trying to deflect a shot there. Doesn't want to get shot at while he's punching the ground. His root's obviously gone under the ground because then it pops up and Rocket jumps on it, which I think is wicked how the two models kind of connect as one. So now we briefly mentioned about the Guardians' abilities, if they're on their team, and obviously X-Force. But who could forget Criminal Syndicate with Kingpin? So Rocket wouldn't be on an objective because that'd be madness, right? But if he was at the backfield and he was on an objective, he would still count as 2 models. And he's on his healthy side, which is great. But I was thinking Groot. Now, Groot isn't massively strong. He's not going to reduce any damage coming in, things like that. But the fact that he could heal every turn, he could just stay there, heal, stay there, heal, is really, really nice. Because it doesn't state when you heal from this character how many times in a turn you can do it. It just says remove 3 damage from this character. So you could just sit there, heal all day, and then really mess people up when you can heal the rest of the party as well. Because Groot may spend 3 energy to play this card, Groot, and allied characters, and it's unaffiliated. So with Syndicate, you can just stay on the objectives, let's say in the middle of the table. Each model, healthy model, counts as 2. So you all stay on there, and if you do get in a bit of trouble, he will heal everybody, and then heal himself every turn. So that's a possibility. I mean, it's not game breaking, but it's just going to be really irritating with Criminal Syndicate just to stay there and just take those attacks. I still rate them being in Guardians, so obviously when they get that token and they can spend that, and the Winging It token, they can re-roll 2 attacking dice. So with Rocket, I would probably be using it on the hits rather than the defense dice, granted. But yeah, I mean, if you think there's other factions out there that would be good for them, I still think Guardians is pretty strong for Rocket, for attacking, and also the 2 dice for Groot in defending, so you just sit on that objective and just be really, really irritating. I think that's still pretty strong. But yeah, Criminal Syndicate I still think has play. If you're just playing Groot, he's not expensive, and with the healing, he can just be really, really irritating. So 4 physical defense, 7 health. Quite hard to shoot him off the table in 1 hit, but you know, it happens, it happens. Get some nice builders up there. Maybe Wolverine on his damage side. There's a few damage on Groot as well. He can really wail on him. And I'm quite surprised he doesn't have anything like immune to bleed, because he's a flipping tree. Was he bleeding sap? I don't know. I mean, poison, fair enough. Incinerate, definitely. You know, he's not going to like that stuff. But yeah, okay. So we have 2 cards in this kit. We have Deadly Duo, which I think is pretty fun. Unaffiliated. It's an active card. During Rocket Raccoon's activation. If he's within 2 of an allied Groot, both players may spend 2 energy to play this card. Rocket Raccoon immediately performs up to 3 plasma rifle attacks. Each attack must target different enemy characters. So just to remind you, the plasma rifle is the 0 cost, range 5. If it was the Hadron Enforcer, you would break the game. It would just be mayhem. But it, as the artwork indicates, it's the scene in Guardians when Rocket jumps on Groot's back and starts firing wildly as Groot basically spins around, which I think is fluffy. It's very thematic, very cinematic, and just a good card. I mean, basically it costs 4 energy. They have to be within 2 of each other because it's 2 energy each. But for 3 shots, that really is a good builder as well. So he's going to get a lot of shots out there. So I'm glad it costs 2 each, so they can't do it in the first turn. Maybe in the second turn you might want to go wild and just go nuts and start shooting that. But yeah, you can get a lot of shots off with Rocket, maybe second turn with Deadly Duo. So if you've got those two in your list, I think that's a pretty nice card. Really start stacking up that energy with the plasma rifle. And remember, it's range 5 as well, which is pretty solid. So we are Groot. I am so glad with Deadly Duo you have to shoot 3 separate targets because you're really going to start wailing on people. So We Are Groot is unaffiliated, it's an active card. Groot may spend 3 energy to play this card. Groot and allied characters within range 4 of him remove 2 damage. So yeah, I mean he's got an ability that can remove 3 damage, which costs 2 anyway. But for 1 extra point he will heal a little bit, not as much as he would with his 2-pointer, but then everybody else will heal 3 around him as well. So there's a few heal cards out there, and you know it's always nice to have one of those cards in your hand. So you can get 5 cards in your hand in the game. You've got to have at least 1 heal card in there of some kind, right? It's really, really good. So rate the models. I think the models look great. They're not static poses, not just a uniform tree shape like an ent just striding through. You can see he's got some movement in this guy. You know, he's leaning away from the attack as he's deflecting it with the back of his hand. It really just shows he's more lifelike than just a walking ent. And Rocket is great. Cheeky little guy, jumping on a branch, screaming as he's firing rapid amounts of shots. So very much like they are in the films. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video on another classic Crisis Protocol unboxing. Stay safe, everyone. Catch you in the next video.